The amazing flexibility of Cannonball floating over the changes of Autumn Leaves has always impressed me. And Michael Breger's musicality, how he's using all his technique to just express himself, very, very musical. One of the amazing things about the tunes in the American Songbook is that they are mostly in one key or can be related to one key only. This makes us able to use all our scale exercise in that key. Autumn Leaves is a great tune to start improvising on. Autumn Leaves is in one key, and in the first 8 bars you get through all the diatonic chords of the major scale. This is the best scale exercise you want to use your time on when you want to improvise. Why is this? Because this scale exercise has all the chord functions, all the chord tones, the basic chord tones you need to know when improvising. And we need to be able to emphasize the target notes belonging to the chord function. This scale exercise is the basics of all improvising. When improvising, the arpeggio of the basic chord is the backbone of our solo. And when you know your arpeggios, they are directly applicable in your solo. When you improvise, when you're making lines, make space for these beautiful arpeggios. You do not need a lot of scale stuff. In this 2-5-1, you see I add a little bit more rhythm and I add the arpeggio going down. I just turned around the arpeggio exercise, playing the arpeggios down. And if you listen to Cannonball, the first sentence he plays, great arpeggios just moving down. And if you think about it, the arpeggio up, the arpeggio down, get into your vocabulary, you have twice as many possibilities. Maybe you have spotted that I play some of the arpeggios to the 9th. But I start them on the 3rd. When I play the chord from the 3rd to the 9th, I play another chord of the diatonic scale. B half diminished 9 from the 3rd is a D minor 7. A minor 9 from the 3rd is a C major 7. When you know your 2 basic arpeggio scale exercises up and down, you need to add more rhythm. Rhythm is the most important thing. The faster rhythms and the changes in tempo makes your lines much more interesting to listen to. Get these licks and expanded exercises on Patreon, all written out in 12 keys. Expanding the best arpeggio scale exercise there is to the 9th is a great step. The 9th is the first extension you want to add to your chords to give them more color. In this arpeggio exercise going up the scale, I added the 9th to all the arpeggios. If you look closely on this line, I'm using the 9th as a chord note. But I'm also using the 9th as a scale note. What I do, I take the 9th from the top of the chord. I move this down between the root and the 3rd. From the 7th to the 3rd, I get this little part of the scale. In C major, B, C, D, E. This is one of the reasons why I like the 9th so much, because I get a little part of the scale which is very, very usable in your solos. I've added this little scale line with an arpeggio in this exercise. You can add this line directly into your playing and use it as a part of your solo. I really believe that you should make your technical exercise as musical as possible and so adaptable as possible to your music. Take your arpeggios in the scale a step further by adding a chromatic approach note. This is a step towards making your arpeggios sound much more like bebop. The chromatic approach note to your arpeggio of course adds more notes to the line. But this also makes you able to extend the sound of the arpeggio. This example shows that you can use the chromatic approach note from the 3rd or also from the 9th. You see that I'm using some of the upper structures. On B half diminished 9, I'm using a D minor chord. On the E7, I'm using a G sharp diminished chord. On A minor, I'm using a C major chord. All exercises and all licks are really easy to download on my Patreon. And in the lesson manual you get the whole lesson plus a ton of extra licks and exercises in all 12 keys. I mentioned this earlier, but when you practice your technical exercises, you need to make them musical. You need to make them so that you can easily put this directly into your music. You do not want to practice stuff that's unusable in your music. As you can see in these scale exercises and these licks, I take the scale exercise and add it directly into a lick, getting right into the music. When you have in mind that your exercise has to be functional in your music, the exercise is very easy to evolve into beautiful music. Arpeggio exercise in the scale keeps you in the harmonic structure of the songs you're playing and gives you a practice box where you do not have to look at all this harmonic structure at the same time as you're practicing your technique. But most of all, make sure that your exercises are applicable to your music. I would advise everyone that's digging just a little bit deeper to check these two videos out, how to add more chords directly into your playing. Play music, have fun.